If you want to get to the league, your safest route is to go to one of the major programs in one of the Power Five conferences, and you'll get an opportunity because they're playing some high level football.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with us today on this Throwdown Thursday edition, we've got academic and athletic consultant for the CKA Save Project, George Ocker. George, what's going on? It is draft time, and we're going to talk about it from the college side. What's up?
Not much, man. All good over here. All good over here.
All right. We've got team leader extraordinaire, Mike King. Mike, how are you?
Doing well.
All right. And captain for life, Will Cotton. Will, what's going on, sir?
Another good day to talk about sports.
All right. So in segment one, we're going to do a NFL draft breakdown by college conference. Segment two, we're going to talk about some movement or lack thereof in college basketball. And in segment three, Greg Sankey might have told a fib or two. We will find out from the panelists. But first, NFL draft breakdown by college conferences. So fans, NFL draft is come and go, and now it's time to evaluate where they came from. SEC, 59 picks, folks. Pac-12, 43 picks, and you destroyed it. You destroyed the Pac-12, and they put 43 players in the NFL draft. Big 10, 42. ACC, 41. Big 12, 31. Independent schools from the FBS, that does include Notre Dame, 31. I'm sorry, 8. We have 5 from the AAC, and we have others from some of the smaller leagues. We also have, and I do want to say this, there were 11 Power 5 schools without a draft pick. Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Oklahoma State, Baylor, Indiana, Northwestern, Nebraska, Arizona State, Colorado, and Vanderbilt. George, I'm going to start with you because one of your former student athletes was drafted. What are you thinking about where the draft picks came from?
It's a telltale sign because you see most of your draft picks came from your major, not just your major conferences, but your major programs within the conferences. You're going to see a number from the SEC all over. And actually, the ACC performed a lot better than I thought they would. But most of those players came from your Florida States, your Miamis, your North Carolinas, NC States, Clemson's. What shocked? I'm not going to say shocked, but what if anybody wants to take anything from as a surprise was how. But we knew this going in, how offensively heavy the player talent pool was in the former artists formerly known as the Pac-12. And that's where most of your players came from. Your wide receivers and your quarterbacks from the Pac-12 really pushed and ran college football this year. And you got to see it full on board during the draft because most of the quarterbacks, you got a lot of quarterbacks out of there, and you got a lot of wide receivers from out of there. And I think even one of Oregon State's running backs went. So, if you want to get to the league, your safest route is to go to one of the major programs in one of the Power 5 conferences, and you'll get an opportunity because they're playing some high level football.
Okay. Will, you're a regular panelist. We follow college football all year, strictly for entertainment purposes only. Your thoughts on the breakdown in terms of where the draft picks came from?
Oh, I mean, like you said, I think as we evolve as a sport, data, I think people are learning about data. I think they're understanding how valuable data is. I see it day to day, how important data is. Social media, guys who are exposed that you would never hear or see, have an opportunity over here. Colleges are getting a little risky, hey, let's bring this kid. Hey, let's get this kid. Can we get this kid? And a lot of these great kids or these, they're so in tune with the social norms with things going on in the world they make a lot of decisions. I mean, there's a lot. Look, I mean, there's guys who go to Colorado who never even look at Colorado. Probably don't know where it is on the state. Probably don't know where, you know what I'm saying, on the country. I love it. You know, I love it. It gives a lot of teams exposure that you've never heard or seen, and there's a lot of stories that come out of that. And this all really just comes to the internet, the data, social media exposure, things for people, things like that. Obviously, you still have the pillars. You know, your Alabamas, your Georgia, your Florida State. So you have a really good balance of tradition, and you have a really good balance of the new age of how college football is being played. Right now, things are amazing. I think it's very exciting. And obviously, NIL changes things. You know, now you can offer people things, and maybe somebody doesn't want a percentage of an Alabama, organization. Maybe I get a bigger pie with, Michigan. Maybe I get more with Illinois. It's just been very interesting. And I think the data shows that the best players are not just secluded just to one team or one conference. They're spread out all over. And there's talent all over. I mean, I even saw a kid that was supposed to go in. I don't know if he's going to get drafted, obviously, but they were talking about him, and he was like the best D3 quarterback in the last like 20 years, something like that. So it's been very interesting. So I thought the first 3 rounds were great, and if you're using data for like you always use, coach, if you're using data for the good way to use it, then you should make the right decisions. So I'm all for it.
Okay, Mike, what did you think, man?
I mean, I think it just shows we're becoming a 2-conference sport. Everyone knows it. Pac-12 was great, but if you take away the teams that are now in Big Ten, Big Ten and the SEC and everyone else, the ACC had a little bit, but it's becoming just 2, and it's going to only get worse when people realize, 100 and something people were drafted from 2 conferences. Why would I go to another conference? And the 2 conferences that are going to make the most money are going to find a way to have the most NIL and are going to be able to recruit the best. So it's just it's the result of they messed up the whole NIL situation. They could have just paid players, that the extra money that players wanted, and now it's the Wild West, and the where people are drafted from is just going to reflect, and not just the paying players, but they let the conferences just do whatever they wanted, and the Big Ten with 100 teams, and the Pac-12 with 75 teams, it just none of it made sense, and college sports don't make sense now. But I'm just glad Maryland got a life raft, and we're in one of the 2 conferences that matter.
Okay. George, I want you to close out the segment, the 2024 NFL draft by recruiting rankings, and I'm only doing it through the first round. There were 7 5-stars that were drafted, 15 4-stars, 9 3-stars, and 1 unranked player. Again, as one of our consultants that we actually go to, any advice for our high school players who aspire to play beyond college?
Yeah, I would don't get caught up in that whole how many stars you got on you or whatever, because people are going to find you, and you just have to keep balling and keep working, because a lot of dudes were not 5-star coming out of high school. They worked their way through, and they got better as they kept working. As long as the coach knows your talent's there and you get a chance to play, go ahead and do what you can. And the way the transfer portal works nowadays, I got a kid that was 3-star that's been to it's going to be his 3rd school, and now he's going to be at he's going to be at San Diego State next year. So the opportunity is going to be there. It's not everybody's path is a straight line. So it goes ups and downs, and you got to take advantage of those situations. So yeah, if you keep at it, if it's something like I've told people, but like I tell kids a lot of times, if it's something that you cannot live without doing, don't let it go and keep working it, because you're going to have to ride it till you don't have it anymore. So.
All right. So, fans, in segment 2, we're going to talk a little college basketball. One of the bigger players staying instead of going to the NBA draft. Let's talk about it. We'll be right back on the Coaches Podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student-athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fowler Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the iCoaches podcast. In segment 2, 4 years just ain't enough. All-American center and Matha product Hunter Dickinson announced last week that he plans to return to Kansas for his final year of eligibility, likely putting Kansas into the top 5 in the country prior to the season starting. Will, I'm going to start with you. Hunter is not the only person coming back, but how do you feel about guys exhausting all eligibility, especially based on last week's conversation?
I love it. I love it. I mean, one of my favorite times in life was college. I don't know. One of the best times I ever time in my life. You're the big dog, and some people want to continue that, and sometimes the mentality thing. Sometimes you're not ready to step into adulthood yet, and that's totally fine. You're having, you wake up, you go work out, you go to class a little bit, you hang out with girls, and that's your day, man. And then you're working out, So some guys love it. With NIL, there's no pressure to have money or anything like that. So I think, and let's take it a different step. Maybe he has some classes he wants to take that he likes. Maybe he wants to get closer to his degree. We don't know. But, the option is that that he's staying. I have no issues with kids who leave. I have no issues with kids who want to stay. That's a very mature decision. I hope the best of him, and whatever reason he's staying, I hope it's all beneficial to him at the end.
Mike King, we had a nice talk last week about having these options for the women's side in terms of staying. So Kansas is going to come in next year, and people are going to know Hunter Dickinson. What are your thoughts on that?
So similar to the women, he might make more in college than he would as a second round wherever he goes in the draft, because he's projected second round. It's not like this is some surefire lottery pick and he's going to get all this money. Like, he's 7'2", 260, and he's an okay three-point shooter. Like, he doesn't have this guaranteed path. So I'm sure he's going to be making a lot of money to stay. All the things, the fun, maybe he cares about his education, all those things. Maybe all that's true. But financially, because in the end, that's what he should be thinking about. He's probably going to make a good amount of money. Hopefully he puts it away. Get the degree, because this is going to be, his 5th year of school. So hopefully he's been putting credits together, get the degree. Because does his skill set guarantee him? He could be playing somewhere. He's good enough to be playing somewhere, but it just might not be here. So make the money, have the degree, so you're ready for the next part of life whenever the basketball part's over. So, yeah, good for him.
All right, George, what do you think, sir?
I mean, he knows he ain't going to be worth a damn in the NBA. He's going to get his money right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been talking about opportunities. Got his degree. He had his degree a year and a half ago. He's now going to get his master's degree. So when he after the 5-year goal in Europe is over, he'll come back and be a banker or a lawyer somewhere. I mean, this is the golden path is sitting out here for all of these kids right now that they can, and they're just taking advantage of it. And I don't blame them. This is a dumb move by the NCAA that the kids are now utilizing, because the NCAA, here we are again, we're back at the situation. NCAA trying to be greedy as hell, and now it's backfiring against them, trying to be super nice with this. Oh, we want to squeeze more money out of y'all, so we're going to let you come back and stay so we can get more money for the next year for athletics because we didn't get that money out of you. Okay, well, we're going to use you for it. And that's exactly what's happening right now. This is going to be an ongoing trend that you see a number of students, and we saw it more in basketball this year than we saw it in any other sport, and we'll start seeing it more in other sports. Kids will start to transfer to other schools with time left. And that's like we got the 28-year-old kid over in Utah or wherever he's going to be playing again. We got the one quarterback there. I know he's in his 8th year. That's going to be Utah's quarterback, and the tight end from Miami who's in his 7th. So you're going to see this because the kids are they know if they even get it, even if they even get an opportunity to play professionally, it's going to be fleeting and it's going to be very minuscule. So we're going to ride out what I can and make as much money as I can in college. Because we know I'm 23, I know I can dominate some 18-year-olds and get some money and make money out of this deal. And then I'll walk away with whatever I need and whatever comes. So, yeah, I can't blame him. I'm not hating on him. He's just taking advantage of the situation. So,
all right. So, fans, when we get back in segment 3, on Tuesday's show, we said Roger Goodell said it out loud, and we had a nice conversation. Greg Sankey didn't say it out loud, but we're still going to have a nice conversation. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 3, I have to ask my panel, do we believe him? SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey last week dismissed any interest in engaging in conversations about a, quote, super league in college athletics, and instead emphasized his belief that there's a lot going on in the current landscape. Here's the quote, fellas, that I'd like for you to react to. Greg Sankey said, and I quote, "The fact that people have interest in throwing ideas out, that's up to them. However, you can use the cliche that if I was buying stock, I'd buy stock in college sports. Well, apparently a lot of people believe that outside of college sports, something's going right. George, I'm going to ask you first. Do you believe him in terms of there will be no super conference? What are you thinking?
Like that one ruler that's going to give the speech to the people, hoping that they don't revolt against them while the armies are already mounting outside the gate. That was Greg Sankey. That's why he went and said, "Well, if you feel like it," because the crux of the matter here is they don't need the NCAA anymore. And I know, Keith, you sit there all the time and go, "Oh, who's going to make the schedules and who's going to do this.
Insurance, man. No one wants the liability.
The conferences will go ahead and do it themselves. And once they go ahead and they put in, because the SEC is going to say there's no use in playing a bunch of bum teams. And if they can, and when the money comes back and you can put, those 10 teams out the SEC, those 10 teams out the Big Ten, those like 6 or 7 out the ACC, and take a couple out the Big 12, you can forget about it. And that's across the board. It's not just football. Football is going to be the driver here, and it's across the board. And not only that, they come together and they get to keep the money. They don't have to cut. The NCAA is not, and Greg Sankey aren't sitting there being, okay, you get this cut and you get this cut, and we're going to take this off the top and keep our own. That's not going, and they don't have to deal with that. You can forget about it. Oh, you can forget about it. It is coming. It's on the horizon. Greg Sankey can see it coming, and he's just hoping to hell that it doesn't. He's hoping that somebody stays. You're going to get a tournament now that has Marquette and Creighton and teams like that, Ball State and Tulane, because I'm gonna be on the pay-per-view channel watching LSU and Florida State go at it while you're watching that. So that's what's coming, dog. That's exactly what's coming.
Cotton Man, you're my regular guy. Is he telling me the truth?
Nah, he's not telling the truth. He's trying to hope. He's trying to believe, because he's still holding off this whole prestige of SEC and all this stuff, and nobody's really behind it, man. He's like a bad politician. He's lying, because like Ox said, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Everyone can see it, and obviously these commissioners and people who work with NCAA, they're just blind to progress. The smart would be get on front of it, but instead of getting in front of it, you not only you dismiss it like it's not going to happen. Standard cliche thinking of an antiquated organization. That's really what it is.
Mike King, tell me, man, what's this guy actually saying?
He's just sitting in his room counting his money. He's going to say whatever he wants because he doesn't care. But I mean, pride goeth before a fall, and like college sports, they're making money, but I don't feel like it's in a good place, because Maryland basketball team, I'm a big Maryland basketball fan. I can't name half the team because half the team's new in the last like 3 weeks. And that's college sports. I looked at Maryland's roster from like 4 years ago. I didn't even recognize more than half the and I watch the games. So, and I'm a bigger fan than most. So what does that mean for the average person? Like, it's just, there's definitely a lot being lost, and we're going to eventually go down to 2 conferences for football. Basketball's its own thing. We're going to eventually go down to 2 conferences for football. And is that good? Like, yeah, well, we know what to watch, but like, it was nice when there were, UCLA had some runs, and there'd be different teams and different conferences that would have their year and have their chance. And yeah, the SEC would usually win, but like, there were nice stories, the Boise States, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's going to be gone. And it's just going to be like, the story will be like what middle SEC or Big Ten team could have a good year. And there's just not as many teams, so there's not as much like a Cinderella story to it. That's the great thing about at least college basketball is there's schools that you've never heard of that go on these little runs, and it's great. It's like that's what makes it great, and we're getting rid of it little by little in football very quickly, in the other sports little by little.
All right,
but keep real quick. And what I will say is this: we get those Cinderella teams, but they never get they never win the belt. Okay, they never do. We get it, and if you want to talk about sustaining and keep it going, even in football, we have these Cinderella teams that come up and make, win big games or win a couple games or something, and they get into the championship, bowl championship series, and get demolished. Last night, Alabama A&M on the baseball field wound up beating Auburn. It's like one of the biggest wins in their program. Will Alabama A&M make the tournament? No, probably not. And even if they do, they're going to get mollywopped. So we're going to go. We're moving to a system or a part of, and you'll have some smaller programs where good coaches will come in. They'll get they get players in that now become competitive. But it is what it is. It's going to be, the money's been driving it. The money's going to continue to drive it. And it is what it is. It's inevitable. The NCAA, it was an antiquated system that has now sprung full leaks, and the dam is bursting. And it's not just going to be football, but it's going to burst across the board. So, it is what it is, man.
All right. So to close this week, fans, this is what I'm talking about. 2 deserving people received college head basketball coaching opportunities this week, and I want to celebrate. The Charlotte women announced the hiring of Tamika Reed as its women's basketball coach last week. She helped Jackson State win 5 consecutive Southwestern Athletic Conference championships. And Will can tell you, who does the show week after week for the last couple of years when we do streaks, Jackson State was always winning 10, 12, 13, 14 straight. So now she's got an opportunity to have a larger platform. And on a personal level, FAMU, Florida A&M, hired my man, Patrick Crary. So Pat is one of the hardest working coaches. He used to be the head coach at Tacoma Academy when I was at Hood College. Then he moved on to Washington at Venice, which is an NAIA school. Then he moved on to St. Thomas University, which is also NAIA in Miami. And he had success everywhere he's gone. So for him to get this opportunity, so happy for him. So real quick, it's really hard to get that next opportunity. Even when you have the credentials and the success, it's hard to get recognized. We follow Jackson State. We follow Coach Crary, as well as so many others. So congrats to both of them. Good luck to you. We wish you well. And on behalf of our Cavalcade of Stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams, saying thank you for listening and or watching the iCoaches podcast. We'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time. Take care.
The iCoaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The iCoaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the iCoaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the iCoaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at iCoaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the iCoaches podcast.